Good evening and welcome to another Stormgate patch coverage video, this time covering some of what has happened in the PTR so far, but I will primarily be showcasing the official custom maps that are available to play in the PTR. There are a whole load of less interesting number balancing that I will be skipping over, and some convenience features as well for general gameplay. And for the people who have been out of the loop for the Stormgate coverage, the PTR has had 15 patches since Christmas when the Community Patch PTR was released. If you want to skip straight to the custom maps, then there will be a timestamp in the description for them. First thing first, they are confident enough in their performance improvement by the looks of it that they have decided to increase the co-op's max supply limit to 300. This is currently just in the PTR, but will hopefully be brought to life eventually. Previously, you had to go through some process in order to unlock the new content for the editor by having to click the Yeti in the top left corner 10 times. But that has been removed now, and you will be able to access all of the new stuff in the editor by default when you go into the PTR. For Vanguard, there is something for those of you who main them that will hopefully enjoy. A handy deploy and redeploy button for atlases and hedgehogs. Instead of moving and shift commanding them to deploy, you have a dedicated button to deploy them one at a time, while all are selected to more quickly set them up. And when they are deployed, you have a dedicated button which will turn them mobile and move them somewhere so that they will deploy in a new spot. Both are supposed to have it, but the hedgehog is currently missing its redeploy button, but they are supposed to have it eventually, according to the notes. The Celestial Armada unit, Carnivex, has gone through iterations, and has gone from a big unit hunting poisonous assassin to a tanky frontline fighter with self-heal when dealing weapon damage. The Navi new aerial spellcaster has a new spell, Sovereign's Decree, which will be channeled onto enemy air units for 2 seconds, then will fire a 300 damage blast onto enemy targets. The Archangel has primarily had its avatar feature updated. It will no longer passively drain energy, and instead when using a Meteor Strike or the Sensor Charge, it will gain 10 seconds of the avatar buff, and if used again, will not simply renew, but add 10 seconds to the duration. Meaning that if you use Meteor Strike onto the ground, then the Sensor Charge, you will have 20 seconds of avatar. The Seraphim now absorbs damage with its energy, and upon dealing a killing blow, gain energy and self-cleansing themselves of debuffs. And the units Argent, Seraphim and Elemental has had a paint job to make it easier to tell which team they're on. Celestial Armada structures are a little bit more animated now. The Arc ship now has a clearer timer for when the next connection array can be constructed, as well as an ability to move the Arc ship with its cooldown ready toward the mine you want to claim. But from my testing so far, it seems to be a little bit unreliable. It will not factor ground where it cannot land and will occasionally fail, but you can still use the land or relocate to manually set the landing spot. And a small detail is that now the collection array will self-destruct when there are no more Luminite to mine. And for Infernals, there isn't anything in particular that caught my eye. They have a whole load of numbers changes, but no drastic redesigns. And now for the official custom maps that you can play in the PTR. Starting off with some of what I think might be the highlights, Voidlife Heroes RPG. This is a battleground style map, where you pick one of 4 units, and gradually try to advance around the map to destroy unit spawners that are sending waves of units towards your base. When you level up to level 10, you will be able to evolve yourself to a more powerful unit until you reach your super unit stage. And as you kill structures and units, you accumulate Illuminite that you can spend to increase your armor or damage. If you play alone, then make sure to the other players to AI, so you'd have someone that would at the very least advance in different directions. And you should pick easy currently, since it is a little unbalanced, and most higher tier units will kill you quite easily until you evolve. Voidlife Heroes RPG, an interesting battleground concept. Next up, Stormscourge RPG, a hero gauntlet map where you play with up to 4 players and advance through corridors and arenas. A straightforward concept where you pick a hero that you want and kill stuff. It is meant to be played with 4 players, but you can use the commands !take followed by number to take control of absent players' heroes. You will have limited respawns, so try and stay alive and use the respawn stones instead of respawning ability itself. And it will likely be easy to miss, but there is a shop in the corner here to try and improve your hero's abilities and statistics with the resources that you pick up. Again, a straightforward concept that you can play alone or with friends. Stormscourge RPG, a hero gauntlet map for those of you who like to play with heroes. Stormgate Battle Arena. The simplest description I can give is that if you've played Heroes of the Storm, then you already know what this is. This is a 3-lane map where you pick a hero and battle your way down toward the enemy. There are healing fountains in the bases that keep you fresh with a cooldown, and the medtech in the lanes drop healing orbs to incentivize you to be a little bit aggressive. Respawning groups of tough enemy clusters spawn in camps that will join your side if you defeat them. Periodically a Stormgate will spawn, and if you defeat it, then a super monster will stomp towards your enemy's base. This, from what I can tell, will be catering a little more toward the casual side. First of all, you play in 3 vs 3 instead of the traditional 5 vs 5, so there will be much less going on the screen in team fights, and you won't be finding yourself in situations where the enemy gangs up on you in overwhelming numbers. There isn't 100 items to pick through in a store, and when you gain a certain level, you will be able to pick between 2 talents that improve your character. Currently it does not support AI team members however, but you can test it alone if you cannot find anyone to play with to see what the map is like. I will make a follow-up video to cover how each of the respective heroes play. Winter Triangle TD. It is a standard of a tower defense as it gets. On this map, units will periodically be spawning and march towards 3 points. You can either place down towers which will attack the waves of units or structures in order to create a maze, to funnel the enemies in as long of a path as you can possibly create. As you complete your maze, you can decide to upgrade your structures or place down more expensive ones. And there is a critter on the map here that will describe the different waves of units that you will encounter, such as when flying units arrive. And simple and standard as it gets tower defense map, but hopefully competent enough to entertain you. 3 for all. Initially I thought that this was just a misspelled map to test free for all, so I decided to test it because it wasn't the first time I've seen something being misspelled here. Instead I found a weirdly entertaining game about cutting trees. The concept here is simple. Cut trees to gain resources. Use resources to either place bunkers to let you chop down trees faster, or unit production structures to produce more units. At night, either salvage bunkers for its full price and go on the defensive, or spread out to chop down more trees, as enemy units lose hit points over time as they start shambling towards you. Every day some trees respawn, and maybe you will find the golden tree that provides 200 luminite. Then cut more trees. That's the complexity summed up, and it's up to you to decide how you want to go about playing it. Again, 3 for all, which can be played alone or with more people. And the last 2 are slightly less refined to be gentle. Autogate is a turn-based auto-battler game where you purchase combat groups, deploy them into one of 9 slots, and watch them brawl against increasingly more difficult enemy groups. Every round you gain resources to purchase more combat groups, and once you get 3 that matches, they will merge into a tougher battle group. Most combat groups will have some sort of effect played, either at the end of the turn or when they are initially placed. The controls are a little bit clunky and hard to understand at first. You have to pick an AI difficulty and then characters to start. Then you go into the purchasing phase. And it should be noted that this will be controlled through the morph core above the unit, not the group itself. Currently this mode is a little bit shallow, and from the description of units, I can deduce that they are intending to add way more units into this. If you place this next to a Vanguard unit, for instance, when you only have Vanguard's units to pick for instance, likely means that you will be able to have Infernal Host and Celestial Armada units as well in the future. And there is some hidden mechanics that I do not fully understand yet, such as when you at some points are being awarded medtech groups for some reason that I cannot find a pattern for. And I think that this is intended to be played with multiple people, but you can test it out alone if you so want to. Autogate, an early iteration of an auto-battle game mode. And lastly, Obelisk Offensive. This is a map for you if you are not fond of managing bases, but want to see a whole lot of units fighting each other. On this map you will have bases where units will be continuously spawning from, up to 250 supply, and you will be gaining resources for units that you kill. You can spawn more units more frequently by constructing buildings, as well as upgrading units. You will have control of an invincible chicken, which you can use to guide the flood of units towards, and from there manually control units if you so want to. Each structure can also be used to build more expensive units, such as spellcasters, or higher tier units that do not come from the structure. Just keep your camera off the edge of the map here. I have no idea what's going on there, but currently there is some experimental texture hocus pocus that has gone haywire and might give some of you an epileptic seizure. Currently the AI will be passive, but you can play this with other players. Obelisk Offensive, for those of you who are not fond of base management, but want to spawn thousands of units to battle with. And that's it for this video. I will make a follow-up video to cover the characters in Stormgate Battle Arena and how they play, but after that it will likely be radio silence for a while. Because I will be trying to make a custom maps now, as I mentioned in the last editor showcase video. But if you want me to try and make some small concept or explain something about the editor, feel free to comment so in the comment section. Stay intact and have a nice day.